那个应该有哦，有在。Morning. Good morning, class. Last week we talked about the telecoms regulatory framework in the European Union, especially about the so-called SNP Mythology. If you still remember, I think it's quite important. So it's good to remember that the so-called SNP Mythology include a three-step. Three-step mythology. The first step is to define or to identify the relevant market. And then the second step is to analyze, to evaluate or to analyze the market and to see whether there's an SNP in the market, the so-called significant market power in that market. And the third step is to find the proper regulatory measure to be imposed on that SNP. And of course, okay, so these are the three steps. 1, 2, 3. The first is to define the market and to analyze the market and to find the appropriate regulatory measure. And of course, the relevant market can be divided into, in theory, can be distinguished into the relevant product market or relevant service market and relevant geographic market. So the first category is to be, the market should be defined based on the product and the services. And the second kind market, the relevant geographic market, are to be considered based on the different geographic elements. And in the second step, about how to find, how to analyze and how to find whether there's a SNP in the market. The first, you have to analyze the market. And as we have discussed last time, the analysis of the market should be based on like a forward-looking. It's not just based on the current situation, but should be based on what will soon be happening in the future, and should not be based on hypocritic, like something like a assumption, but should be based on some factual elements. And to find out whether a telco has SNP in that market, before the introduction of the 2002 telecoms package, the European Commission mainly bases evaluation on the market share. But with the introduction of the 2002 telecoms package, market share was no longer the only method to decide whether a telco has SNP in that market or not. But instead, the Commission may consider all these conditions. Okay, so it's mainly about the size of the company, the vertical integration of the company, and the scale, the economic scale, and the economics of scope, something like this. Maybe not one of them plays a major part when the Commission is considering, or you can say any one of them can play an important part when the Commission is considering whether a telco has SNP. Okay, so the first one is market share, but not only market share. The Commission will also consider about these conditions, like supplementary conditions. And then if the Commission finds, if the regulator finds there's an SNP in the market, and it will have to, according to the framework directive in 2002 telecoms package, according to the framework directive, the national regulator will have to apply or to impose some obligations on those SNP telcos. Those obligations mainly are stipulated in the access directive, one of the satellite directive in the 2002 telecoms package. So also, and also in framework directive, it requires the Commission to analyze the telecoms market in the European Union and to publish a recommendation every several years to specify the market that the Commission consider should be subject to ex-ante regulation. Ex-ante means to be regulated in advance. So these are, I'm sorry, why am I here? So these are the market defined or found by the Commission in its 2003 recommendation of relevant market, relevant service product and service market. So there were totally 18 markets, and among them, 7 of them are retail market, and 11 of them are wholesale market. And of course, these are the relevant product and service market. And while these are already defined by the Commission, the national regulators in the member state can also analyze their telecoms market in the country and to find out whether there are other SNP or there are other market, there are other product market or service market that should be subject to ex-ante regulation and to find out whether there's SNP in that market. Okay, so these are defined by the Commission, but also the national regulator, the NRA. So the missions are mainly the responsibility are mainly bear by the national regulator. The national regulator, the NRA, can also define whether there are other relevant products or services market in their country that should be subject to ex-ante regulation. And then it should find out whether there's an SNP in those markets. And if the regulator find out there's a SNP in those markets, the obligations in the access directive, such as the obligation of transparency, the obligation of non-discrimination, the obligation of accounting separation, such as to provide access to and the use of specific facilities, should be imposed to those SNP telcos. And if a telco is without SNP status, it only has the obligation to negotiate about the condition of interconnection, and that's it. So these are what we have